Hi everyone. Hello. Yes. So welcome, Dr. Laud, and also welcome everyone to again our fourth episode is the Startup Lounge, and today we are actually talking about interestingly test kits. And before we even start the conversation, I just want to welcome everyone, and as well as we always do, please make sure you're on mute so that when one person is speaking, you can hear everyone as well. If you need to ask questions, please feel free to type it on the chat. We'll see your questions. We'll also ask Dr. Laud. In general, I would want to also first introduce our guest speaker for today, who is in the person of, now I'm really confused because Dr. Laud always doesn't want to be addressed with a doctor. So I would say, I'll just move on and say Laud Anthony Basing, CEO of Incas Diagnostics. And we are really honored to have you, and welcome to the Startup Lounge. And this is also our fourth episode. We are talking about innovation and health. Yeah. So a big welcome to you, Dr. Laud. I'm going to go off my sharing screen, and then we can start the discussion. And I'll just remind you that this is a free discussion. We are here to basically have a full discussion with you as well.
Thank you very much. It's raining in where I am, so I hope the rain does not basically mar the conversation and cause breaks. But yes, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, no, I think the rain is really causing a lot of, trouble at a lot of places. So yeah, but in general, I'm sure everything is going to be fine. Nice. All right. So welcome once again.
Thank you.
Let's just dive in straight ahead. I would probably want to first start with you. You as a person as well. We know Dr. Laud has been doing a lot in your own space in your professional world. I mean, the one thing we know for sure is that you are actually a Mandela Washington Fellow and a celebrated under 40 awardee, and you are also a scientist, and you've actually done a lot of publications. So, I mean, outside this, because this is what people see, who is Dr. Laud?
That is one of the most difficult questions to ask. When somebody asks, who is this person, or tell us about yourself, you don't know where you're going to start from. Whether you're going to start from your favorite food, or you're going to start from, my name is Laud Anthony Basing, I am this number of years old.
I know.
But generally, I believe that I am somebody that I am passionate about science.
Mm-hmm.
I am passionate about learning. I am passionate about capacity building for young people. And so, I love my Kenke and my Banku. Those are my. That is it about me. If you want to know about me, I'm passionate about science. I'm passionate about youth development, and I'm passionate about Kenke and Banku.
Yes.
That is all about me.
I think that's the best introduction, I mean, you can ever give, because I also love food a lot. Yeah. yeah. I mean, but let's just dive in as well into like your educational background as well. Just take us through a quick journey of, I mean, what you studied up to your own professional level, and also your professional work. Just a brief intro into it.
Well, one of the questions that I don't like answering, it's usually about my educational level, because then the conversation, after I tell people all the schools I've been to, the conversation suddenly turns to education instead of to what we want to do. And in Africa in general and in Ghana in particular, we are very we like when somebody talks about education, we are always impressed about that.
I know.
Unfortunately, I've been in places where it's not your education that matters; it is what you're able to do. But I have 4 first degrees and 3 master's degrees and 2 PhDs. I have also done a lots of short courses, and I have a lot of diploma courses. Anyway, so my primary, I have a background in microbiology and biomedical engineering.
Yeah.
Yes, my microbiology, which I have a PhD in, is in. I had it in Ghana from Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, under Professor Yaws. He was my supervisor. He was the dean of the medical school then when I had the PhD, but currently he's the provost of the College of Health Sciences.
Yeah.
The other one in biomedical engineering I got from Purdue University under Professor Jacqueline Linus, who is a professor of biomedical engineering in Purdue University. And she basically deals with point of care tests, rapid tests, and all of that. That is, her lab is called the Linus Point of Care Technologies Laboratory. So I spent about 3 years in that lab doing my work. And so that is where I got the degree from biomedical engineering.
Nice.
Yes. So basically, these are the 2 I usually talk about. The others, like the business, the public administration, and all of that, I don't like talking about them because it masks my business. So when it comes to education, I just like to say that I have a background in microbiology and I have a background in biomedical engineering. Yes.
Trust me. I mean, I am already impressed. So that's that's really nice to hear. And I don't know if you remember, but we actually met in was it Bochum in Germany? You came.
Oh yes.
Yeah, you came with a
Yes.
delegation to Germany
Yes.
on yes on the
Yes.
RU summit.
I remember.
To be honest, personally
Yes.
as well, I know a lot about what you love and also the level of education you've got into. So it's really interesting to hear that you're a learner and then you keep learning as well. Now, I mean, looking at this introduction, you probably I am getting a sense that you are that person who is going to school and then also learning a lot. But there's also another twist to it where you are now you started your own sort of business, to do something that you probably, to solve a problem or to solve a challenge in Ghana. I just wanted to ask, like, why what made you start this? What was the reason for starting this?
Okay, so the first reason I went into entrepreneurship was, first of all, because I was in debt and I needed money. It was that it was that simple. My niece, who was staying with me at the time, had an accident, and I was in debt for about almost, at the time it was in old Ghana cedis, and it was just 5 million cedis away from 2 billion. So it would have been like 500 cedis away from 200 Ghana cedis, 200,000 Ghana cedis.
Yeah.
That was after she had burns at the back and all of that. But so that was the main reason I needed to find a way of making extra money to be able to pay my debt. That was the beginning. That was the reason I went into it.
Yeah.
But so I started a lab. It was a normal lab. So, and I knew that with labs I could do screenings, just one screening, and I could get enough money to be able to sort my problems out. But when I went in, I started to interact with the customers. And then I realized that one of the major issues that a lot of customers had was, one, access to diagnostics, access to the lab. So they go to the hospital, the doctor says, go to do the lab. They go to the lab. First of all, they don't know why the lab is so expensive. Okay. And then they contemplate, if I don't do the lab, will the doctor still give me a drug? Okay. So access to diagnostics was very important to the customers. So it started getting me thinking, how is it possible for me to be able to reduce the cost of laboratory services, at least to a level that a lot of people would be able to purchase? And so that was another reason that got me thinking about reducing the cost. So where my lab was, there were about 16 other labs, but we were taking the lowest because we wanted to make it affordable.
Yeah.
But then within a month, we realized that no, we could not do that because, one, we imported 100% of all the things we used in the lab. There was none that was manufactured in Ghana. To everything that we did was basically based on these imports. So it was going to be impossible for me to do it to that level. So the next question was, how am I going to be able to produce these things that we are not producing right now?
Yeah.
At the time, I did not have the capacity. This is somewhere in 2012. I did not have that capacity to be able to produce the kits and all of that. So I started Googling and searching for places I could learn. And all the places I saw, the figures made me open my mouth because they were huge. I needed like $5,000 to $10,000 just to pay fees for just a few days of training on some of these things. But I was determined to do that. So I started to learn. I first of all learned online, read all the books I could lay my hands on, but I did not have the practical experience. So I went to DCN Diagnostics in California at the time. This was somewhere in 2014. Paid all the fees, lived there for a while, went to school until I was able to get the basics. And then I started developing my own kit. I got my first prototype around 2015, thereabout. When I came back within a short time, and during that time, I was also doing a lot of capacity building. I like to train people. I like to teach. So there's a district in the Upper West. I mean, it's called the Upper West Action District. At that time, it was a newly created district. They had a health center. They did not really have a hospital. So I was building the capacity of the health workers to be able to diagnose certain diseases. And so that was all part of the reasons I got selected for the Mandela Washington Fellowship. And then at the Mandela Washington Fellowship, I had contacts and all of that. That actually made me go back to go and learn more about developing test kits and all of that. And so we pivoted in 2016. We pivoted from being a lab to being a test kit and then a diagnostic development and manufacturing company. And that's where we are.
No, thank you. Yeah, I didn't want you to zoom into INCAS yet, because I think even this particular kind of intro is really interesting, and it tells me as well the kind of sort of development you've gone through from 2012 to now. One question that was even popping up in my head was, like, as of now, do you see that there has been an improvement when it comes to the same problems you saw in 2012? As of now, is that, do we still have like these test kits and stuff like that?
No, currently we are actually the only company in the whole of Africa that does development and manufacturing. Currently, I say currently because I know of some companies in South Africa that are also moving towards development. Quite a number of companies in South Africa actually do manufacturing, but these manufacturing, they don't do the development themselves. So what happens is that they have organizations outside, especially in Germany, in Europe, that basically does the manufacturing in South Africa. So there are quite companies like that. But I do know that there are a few companies in South Africa that are also starting to go into development and manufacturing. Nigeria, there are some companies that there's actually one company that does assembly. But aside that, it's still the same thing. We still import everything that we use currently. So the problem has not solved. And even access to diagnostics, especially with COVID-19, for instance, we realized that all the testing is in huge, like Noguchi, KCCI.
Big labs.
So somebody in a district hospital somewhere, how does a person get diagnosed? So all of these are still problems with access to diagnostics. We usually talk about access to medicines, access to a doctor. Nobody talks about access to diagnostics. But without diagnostics, how are you going to be able to treat a patient if you're a doctor? How are you going to let the patient have access to medicine if you're a doctor, if you're a pharmacist, for instance? So access to diagnostics is very important.
And then this just brings us really nicely into you now telling us exactly what does INCAS Diagnostics do. So what do you do as a company, in your own words?
Okay, so we like to say that INCAS Diagnostics, we develop simple tests that count. What we mean by simple tests that count is that we try as much as possible to make tests very simple, that people can use, that anybody can use at home and all of that. But we also try to develop tests for diseases that affect the poor and the vulnerable disproportionately. We realize that diseases that affect the poor and vulnerable are not diseases that bring a lot of money. And so they are not diseases that the big companies like to develop diagnostics to. And so we still have a lot of diseases that we do not currently know how to test. Okay, and so those are some of the tests that we try to develop. We are developing a manufacturing company currently for point of care tests. Yes, that's what INCAS does.
Yeah. Maybe as well, just give us more insight into. I think the first thing will be like the kind of diseases. Maybe if you can mention a few of them so that everybody is on the same page as well.
Okay. So we have a test for vaginal infections. It's a 3-in-1 test for vaginal infections. So currently what happens is that if a lady suspects that she has a vaginal infection, she'll go to a hospital. A doctor, most likely male, would take a swab. You have to get naked. They will take a swab, send it to the lab. It will take 3 days for you to get a result before you get treated. Okay. Or the doctor will ask you to go to the lab. And over there, most likely, again, a male will take your swab and everything. There are a lot of problems with this. First of all, it's invasive. Somebody is putting something inside you. Secondly, people are not very comfortable with other people they do not know getting to see their nakedness. Thirdly, it takes 3 days for them to get the results. Already, the person is going to the hospital because she's very uncomfortable and she has to wait another 2 days to get her results before she gets treatment. Most people do not want to do that. Thirdly, it's quite expensive. Currently, Confanochi Teaching Hospital, they take about, I think, 56 cedis for that diagnosis. So all of these are factors that prevent adequate diagnosis of these vaginal infections. What we have developed is a 3-in-1 test. All you need to do is pee on it, just like a pregnancy test. And within 10 minutes, we'll be able to tell you whether you're what type of infection you have, and then you can get treated within 10 minutes. So that is the first kit that we have. So it's a test for women, especially access to diagnostics for women. We also have a test for a disease called Yaws. It's a neglected tropical disease that affects children in very rural communities. There's a common saying that where the road ends, that's where Yaws begins, because it's a disease of poverty. Currently, to diagnose it, take the samples, send them to the US. For them to diagnose it takes a month. The test comes, and that is when we are able to go and give drug. And the drug is very simple. A single dose of a drug called azithromycin will treat it. But currently, we've developed a molecular test that gives you the results in 45 minutes. Instead of waiting for a month, you get the results in 45 minutes. We are happy that that particular test is currently being sponsored by the World Health Organization at Noguchi right now. For the next 3 years, we're going to do large-scale trial. If the tests work as much as we know it will work, then it means that the WHO is going to take it and deploy it to all the Yaws endemic countries in the world. So it's a large-scale trial. They've given us funding to do that large-scale trial, which we are working on right now. We also have other tests like pregnancy, drugs of abuse, and all of that. And we have quite a number of tests also in the office. So these are the kind of tests that we work on.
And congrats on the Yaws test kit as well. And I just wanted to as well even dwell a bit on the vaginal test kit, vaginal infection test kits, because I mean I grew up with all my siblings are ladies, and one of the things as well, especially in Ghana, where we have all these stigma when it comes to people who walk to the hospitals to just come and test something with a vaginal infection. The first thing that comes to people's mind is, oh, maybe you went to do this, you went to do that. So for me, I think this is really, really important. Like this is something that moves. It takes that whole stigma away and also empowers the females to actually do the same test themselves. So I think you are getting a clap from one of our participants already. So yeah, seriously, like this is something very useful, and thank you so much for doing this as well, Lord. Just give me an idea when INCAS diagnosis actually started. Just to give us like how many years you've been in existence for, like when did you start, and as well how many people did you start with? What was the journey like? Like bootstrapping. What happened throughout all these points? I think it will be very interesting for us to know. Yeah.
Okay. So the INCAS journey has been like a sine curve. I don't know whether you know what a sine curve is. A sine curve is it goes up, it comes down. That is how a sine curve is. And our journey has been like a sine curve. What has happened is that we started in, as I said, we started in 2012. So officially, Incas is registered in 2012.
Okay.
However, in 2016, we pivoted from being a lab to being a diagnostic, because between 2014 and 2016, I was developing the first product, which is the vaginal infection kits. So that's the first product that Incas developed. And the development was between 2014 and 2016. In 2016, I came back from the Mandela Washington Fellowship, and I was all happy. I was going to start the company and all of that. And then life happened. One, I couldn't get funds to buy equipment. I wanted to take up a loan, and it was difficult. I ordered the first equipment, and taxes alone got me depressed, and I left it in the port for almost a year and all of that. So in 2017, I realized that staying in Ghana and still trying to start Incas, or still trying to go into manufacturing, is going to be very difficult. So I accepted to go back to the US, work with Professor Linus to get another degree, because it was a scholarship.
Yeah.
However, the plan was that, and at that time I had a team of about 7. And the plan was that going back, I was going to then take part any single competition that could give us any small amount of money. I was going to take part. If we win, we win. If we don't win, we move. Okay. So basically, that was our mantra. I mean, if we win, we win. If we don't win, we move. And from 2017 to 2019, when I came back, I had raised $200,000, all from competition wins. Business model competition, I am there. Pitch, $200, I am there. Everything talking about the company, what our hopes are, and everything. And so these little monies were things that I put together, including some savings that I had put together. I mean, I had been working before that for a long time, so I had quite a bit of savings. And then, as well as while I was in the US, I was getting paid. So I put all of this together, and then I ordered all the equipment that I needed. I haven't had all of them yet, but I ordered quite the basic equipment, and then I shipped them down. Then the next point was FDA was supposed to come and inspect. Then FDA comes, and then they have a list. You are supposed to have this manager. You are supposed to have this manager.
Yeah.
No, you can't have this manager acting as this and this. And then you tell FDA that you are a startup. So as a startup, one person can act at 3 or 4. They say, no, you are supposed to have independence. By the time we're done with FDA, we're 22 full-time staff, and then the part-time staffs were quite a lot. So currently we are 33, and 22 are full-time, and the rest are part-time. Most of them because it is statutory for us to be able to get our license. We got our license, manufacturing license in 2019, October 2019.
Wow.
And it's not been easy. Even with our staff, and with the fact that a lot of us do not take the salaries that we are supposed to earn. Because when you look at your qualifications and the amount of work and how much you are supposed to earn, you realize that you are taking 1/10 of what you are supposed to earn.
Yeah.
Even with that, we still pay around 18,000 cedis for salaries every month. So yes, for salaries every month. And this is, we've not even, I mean, currently we started selling our kits, but as at that time, by the time FDA came and did the inspection and everything, we had not yet even started selling. And we spent about 6 months before we finished with our production and we started to sell and all of that. And all of that, you had to pay salaries and all. So it's not been an easy journey.
Yeah.
A lot of people contact me like, oh, congratulations on this, your award. I really wish I were like you. And then I shake my head and I tell them,
the award is not money.
No, you don't. You don't wish you were me. Because if I was based on the qualifications I have and based on the things that I do, the salary I would have been earning would have been, 10 times what I currently take from Incas. So yes, it's not easy, but it's just the fact that sometimes I quit 1,000 times a day, and then I get up 1,000 times a day, and I keep going. So yes, that's it about us.
No, I mean, thank you. Like, I wouldn't agree more, to be honest. Like, it's just like a life of, I mean, a startup, I would say, a founder, and especially also as well in Ghana. When you were talking, I was just thinking, if you didn't actually go to the US to raise funds, do you think you would have raised funds as fast as you did?
In fact, I should be very honest to tell you that all the money that we've used in Incas as at now,
Mm.
as at now, 90% were raised. I mean, let's say 5% was my savings. The
Yeah.
rest were raised outside. The WHO gave us some money. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation gave us some money. The Mandela Washington Fellowship gave us some money.
Yeah.
The local monies we've raised have been through a lot of loans we've taken from individuals who are interested in us. So can you give me some 20,000 to pay my salaries?
Yeah.
And then the person says, okay, I'll give you this amount, but at this rate, so that at the end of the day, you can pay me at this rate. I also had a very good friend that has supported me so far. Kakra has been good. George, if you know George of
Yes, Ghana Tech Lab.
Ghana Tech Lab,
Yeah.
he's been tremendous. He's been an amazing person. So these are people that have personally given me their money. Okay, and then of course some of the competitions. Hub. In fact, Hub was one of the. In fact, not one. Hub is the first company to actually believe in us. When I came back in 2016, I went from office to office, door to door, even the ministries, telling them this is what I want to do. Nobody believed in us until Hub organized a pitch competition, which I attended, and then they gave me the exposure and everything. Yeah. But it didn't come with money. So, but at least it was very important because they believed in us, and then it gave us the hope that this was a viable business that people would want to invest in. So that was something that actually helped us. The other this thing is I think Premium Bank. Premium Bank was actually going to give us a $35,000 loan at the beginning to buy equipment. But bank processes delayed. So by the time they were ready to give us the money, but they were supposed to give us the money, it was a Friday, they were supposed to give us the money on Monday. I signed everything. And then where I was supposed to buy the company, there was a 100% increase in the price of the product.
Yeah.
And so the $35,000 was going to do little. I would just buy about one or two equipment and I'll not be able to use them. And it was a loan that was supposed to start paying at the end of the month. So I felt that it wasn't necessary. So yes, to answer it's a long answer to your question. Would I have been able to raise that much money? And the simple answer is no. Yeah. If I hadn't gone to the US, first of all, nobody would have believed that it was a viable product. I'd been to several companies and nobody believed that what we said we wanted, we were able to do it. It was when I went to the US, I presented it the first time. I presented in a competition. It was Innovation Challenge, and we won. And there was a lot of publicity, both in the US and in Ghana, because it was done in almost a lot of television stations and media houses in the US. It was done by the Schutz Innovation. It was called the Schutz Innovation Challenge, and Schutz, they are a communication company. So basically, they did a lot of publicity, and that was what got people thinking that there's a Ghanaian doing something great, and they started to trend in Ghana. That's when we got people interested. Otherwise,
it would have been,
nobody was interested.
For me, I find that really interesting, to see that most of the time as well, like Ghanaian startups founded in Ghana, it takes a longer time to raise funds than when they actually just do a quick shift U-turn, go to either US, the UK, or Germany somewhere, and then come back, and then now the story is totally different. So that's one thing. Also always strikes me, and to be honest, your journey is really interesting, and I asked that question because it also helps us understand the kind of challenges that a lot of African startups and a lot of Ghanaian startups face when it comes to just starting and actually getting the credibility. For you, you probably have taken more than like 7 years to do that.
Exactly, and I think that so you and I that have had this opportunity should also start to basically help those who have not had the opportunity to have some of these opportunities. Exactly. I truly believe that if you light a candle and you're in a dark room, you'll be able to see around yourself. but you cannot be able to see very far. So if I light a candle and then I light somebody else's candle and that person lights somebody else's candle, within a short time, the whole room is lit. There are so many young people doing amazing things. And yet they do not have the opportunity to expand what they are doing. And so if you and I have had a lot of opportunities. The Mandela Fellowship gave me an opportunity. I've studied in the US. I've raised funds in the US. I also know that, I met you in Germany. So that alone means that both of us have had opportunities. So if we can, together, we can help other people who have not had opportunities. I think it's amazing. Look, I'll just give you a few examples. I have a young mentee who is into movie production. He did medical laboratory. Okay. But he's into plays. I've attended several of his plays and I have laughed my heart out. But you know what? When he started to charge even 10 cities in Kenya, he wasn't getting anybody to. So he does all his plays for free. And we all go and we laugh and we just walk away. Okay, how are we going to support such a person to move on? Okay, I have a friend. She basically does food. She distributes this food. Okay. In fact, you guys should. I'm doing free campaign for her. It's called Food Diction. You just go on.
No worries. You can do it.
Facebook and search food and then diction.
Yeah, that is why we are here.
The food is delicious. Okay. Yet, at the end of the day, she's doing a very small scale and then it's her friends that would basically buy them, and then we are helping her all along the way and all of that. But can you imagine if every lunch you are able to order just around 20 people order a day, okay, and then she's expanding. You can imagine the opportunities that all of these will bring. I can give you several other examples. So I think that those of us that have had the privilege of having opportunities, we need to start opening up opportunities for other people.
No, yeah, I totally agree with you, Lord. Like this is and for us as well, this is one of the reasons. I would say even the main reason why we are actually embarking on this journey. For us, this journey is as well to help us and to shine the light, as you said, to shine the light on all these talents that we have in Ghana and all across Africa. Because most of the time you only hear the popular ones. Once you're outside Africa, all you hear are the popular ones. But then we in here know that a lot of talents are here. People are doing stuff. People are doing a lot of amazing, innovative stuff. So for us, it's a huge blessing to also be actually talking to people like you. And as well, we will continue to get all these guys on board and let them share their story. So that, through this, we get them the visibility they need, and then we take the conversation forward. I also, you mentioned that, and I'm sure as well. When I read a few, that you import, some of the components of your test kits as of now. Correct me if I'm wrong. And your test kit as well, as I know, is $2.5 cheaper than the ones that are already existing in the market. And for a model like yours, I'm just to help us understand how this model works, and as well, this is a gap, and probably this creates a cost gap in your own organization. So how do you meet this cost gap as well?
Okay, so that's a very important question. When we import every bit of our components, okay, and then we bring them, we do the pre-treating and everything, and then we manufacture from scratch. Okay. However, some of the price, even with all the shipping costs, which is a very expensive, and you get to the port and you have to pay huge duties and all of that, taxes and all of that. Even with that, it is still amazingly cheap to produce a lot of the test kits that we do. It's a surprise. Like, it's still not too expensive to produce. For instance, with our test for vaginal infection, it costs about $2.7 to produce one. Okay. We sell it at around $3.4 basically currently. For wholesale, and then around $5 for the pharmacists to also sell them. For our pregnancy test, for instance, it costs about 30 pesos to make one. Okay, and we sell it at 50 pesos. Okay, what you think about is that it's just a little. The cost is just a little. However, if I make 50,000 of them,
it's in the numbers.
It's in the numbers. So that is one of the things we're expecting, because currently if you go to a pharmacy to buy a pregnancy test, you buy it around 2 cedis. Okay, so we are hoping that because we are quite cheaper, people would buy in huge quantities, so that the huge quantities will help us to produce more, because it's always a scale of numbers. It costs, again, if I'm producing just 1,000 pregnancy tests, it costs about 78 pesos to produce 1,000 pregnancy tests. If I'm producing 50,000 pregnancy tests, it costs 30 pesos. If I'm producing 1 million pregnancy tests, it costs 2 pesos to make one. So at the end of the day, right now we are producing in batches of 50,000. Now, if we get a lot more people buying from us to the extent that we need to produce 1 million, the cost will dip, and then we'll be able to make the profit out of that change in the cost. So that is it. Now, those that are already selling the market, you should know that the manufacturers would manufacture there at almost the same price that we manufacture. They will ship down. So whoever is going to import will also ship or pay all the import duties. Okay, and still come and sell to be able to make money. So they are third parties that are trying to make money out of the import. So they would definitely be more expensive than those of us producing here from scratch, because we are not using any third party, and that's how come we are still cheaper than those that import.
Nice. I'm learning a lot. Thank you so much as well. And we are going to go for a short break, but before we go, I just wanted to confirm as well. So as of now, you make 50,000 kits on a monthly or on a yearly basis. How does it work?
Our production capacity is 50,000 per week.
Per week? Wow.
And that's our production capacity. As to whether we get to do that capacity, it's a different
another
story.
question.
We have the capacity to produce 50,000. But usually for a long time, we don't do any production until somebody orders. And then they usually order and they want it now. And then we go into production. But yes, our production capacity is 50,000.
And can you also, give us an idea of how much how many you've sold so far?
Depending on which of the tests, we have drug of abuse, you have pregnancy, batch kit, and all of that. I would say that it's been a good business since October 2019. We've had a lot of orders. We've had a lot of we've had some supplies. We had quite a number of orders before COVID hit. And when COVID hit, everybody started thinking about COVID. So it has affected our other products. We're hoping, this on a lighter side, we're hoping that the lockdown will be would stretch so that more people will get pregnant and more people would buy our pregnancy test. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. They had to stop the lockdown within a short time, so people didn't get as pregnant as you wanted.
I
know. Our pregnancy test but generally, yes, it's been quite good. We've done a lot of sales. Yeah.
That's good. That's good news as well. And hopefully after this as well, you get more orders. We are going to just take a quick break, and then what we normally do as a tradition for Startup Lounge is we always have something we call 60 seconds down memory lane, where we have one of our co-hosts take everyone through some very indigenous but also very industrious entrepreneurs that have come through the African continent. So I would just leave this place and then I'll give it to my colleague Kwesi. Kwesi, are you ready?
Okay, welcome everyone to 60 Seconds Down Memory Lane. Today I would like to share something small on Dr. Rosemary Kitley. So, Dr. Rosemary Kitley is Ghana's first gynecologist and the managing director of Indian as a doctor. She set up MedLab as a reliable and affordable source of laboratory diagnostics, accessible by all Ghanaian doctors and patients. MedLab changed the face of lab testing in the country by offering specialized services to help cut back on the outflow of medical tourism patients. It was therefore no surprise when it became the first ever Ghanaian lab to attain international accreditation. Europe's #1 medical diagnostic company operating in more than 35 countries across 4 continents. A pioneer in laboratory diagnostics in Ghana, Dr. Rosemary Kitley earns her place among great entrepreneurs who have emerged from here. Very short for today, and to sign off, I'll remind you as always, stay home, stay alive. You can only build a business when you are alive. Thank you very much. I hope that was within the 60-second mark.
Kwesi, yeah, that's. Thank you so much. And you were speaking like a robot at the point, but yeah, you were definitely within the 60
Oh,
Don't worry. Yeah, but speaking of medical tourism, we learned in our last in our previous episode that in Nigeria there's the medical tourism. I mean, outside Nigeria of over 1.3 billion or so. I mean, US dollars or so. I'm sure it's probably same or similar in Ghana as well. And so this is something that is really key. And for likes like Dr. Laud, it's very Ghana. I mean, the future looks bright for Ghana. Just taking this particular entrepreneur, Dr. Laud, I just wanted to quickly just check for me as well. What which entrepreneur or which business I would say inspires you or helps you get the inspiration you need anytime you want to do anything at all, I mean, in your journey as well.
Okay. So yeah, I'm sure all of you know Bright Simmons.
Yeah.
Yes, Bright Simmons is somebody that inspires me greatly. He inspires me mainly because of the fact that when he started, just like me, nobody really believed. In fact, his product is not even being used in Ghana here. It's actually being used in a lot more countries than in Ghana, and he's Ghanaian. And I see a lot of similarities where in Ghana, people do not really believe your work until foreigners start to give you all the accolades, and then that is when people start to believe you. So yeah, he's somebody that inspires me a lot. Yes.
Nice. Thank you so much. Now we'll probably just address the elephant in the room, which is COVID-19. You've been mentioning it a lot, and we all know as well that INCAS Diagnostics, together with KNUST, you are producing COVID test kits. I mean, congratulations on that, because I also saw in the news from you're also being assisted by the Ghana Tech Lab. So in general, congrats for that. Can you just tell us a bit about, I mean, what the engineering is behind this, how it's going to work, or how and I mean how you also secure the funding and you know what's this all about?
Okay, so COVID-19, it's been a whirlwind of emotions and things, but this is how it all started. So early January, COVID was becoming an issue in the world. It hadn't come to Africa yet, but like everything, we knew that it was going to come to Africa. So my team and I met. So every Monday we have a session, a brainstorming session where we talk about what are we going to do for the next week? What are some of the trends that are happening in our space? What are the area of capacity that we need to build for each other? What are the things we need to learn? And basically, we do all of that, and then we assign duties for everybody. So we talked a lot more about capacity. We talked about COVID-19 and the fact that it was going to come to Ghana, and it was going to affect us as a business. So we wanted, the whole thing was, how are we going to, as a business, if it's going to affect us, how are we going to navigate all the challenges? So a team member suggested that, why don't you develop a test for COVID-19? I was very emphatic. I told them that yes, we could develop antibody tests for COVID-19, but the gold standard is the PCR. So the utility for COVID-19, especially in Ghana, was going to be pretty difficult. So, and it's going to be expensive to develop. So I didn't want to go into something and then at the end of the day, you finish developing and it becomes a sort of a white elephant. So the arrangement was, okay, why don't we just develop it and go and donate it to the Ministry of Health? One will get publicity, will get tax reprieve and all of that. If they don't use it, it's not our concern.
Yeah.
We have developed it and we've donated and we are done. So that was the arrangement behind it. So I spoke to my professor, as I said, who supervised my PhD. He's at Kenya University. So I spoke to him and he felt that, and he said it was a wonderful idea. And so it was possible to for Kenya University to support in terms of logistics, in sort of when you order things and they come in, sort of going to pay all the duties and all of that. Kenya University could facilitate all of that for us. And so we went to meet the Vice Chancellor. He was excited about the whole idea. Of course, my boss, my supervisor, had to put his credibility on the line, because if you are able to take him to the Vice Chancellor to say that this is what we want to do and they all want to support, it must be about a credible person. And the provost of the College of Health Sciences is the one leading the charge. And so it was a major thing because it was his credibility on the line. If it doesn't work, what it means is that, excuse my language, he has lied. And so there was a lot of pressure there, but we went about working. And then I am a fellow of the West African Postgraduate College of Medical Laboratory Science. So we had a fellowship meeting one time, and I suggested that this is what I wanted to do. And everybody was excited, so I had a lot of support from them. I discussed with George, he was also excited. So I had quite a number of partners that were all excited about this whole thing. And then we went into the development. At the time, Afidba, it was a French incubation, this and that. They gave us some money, basically. And once the money hit my account, the first thing I did was buy the materials and everything for developing COVID-19. I remember very well that when we wanted to buy, the lady at the bank, she Absa at the time, she was quite surprised because COVID-19 wasn't in Ghana then. So why were we buying things for COVID-19 when it wasn't in Ghana? And I told her that it was going to come to Ghana, so she should be prepared and all of that. And so basically that is it. And then we went into the development. Of course, we had a lot of failures. We bought different antigens and antibodies, mixed them up, did all of that. A lot of them were not working. And then 28th March 2020. In fact, when you look at our current kits that we that is at the FDA, the lot number, okay, is 280320. Okay. And it is mainly because it was on that day that we had our first access, 28th March 2020. That was when we did all the tests and it worked. We repeated it and it worked. And everybody was screaming everywhere because then we knew we had done it. So my professor came to the lab and we tested it and then he saw it again. And again, we're all excited. KCCR came in to do a little bit of a test to see whether it actually worked and all of that. The rest, they say, is history. Well, it went through the process. It's at the FDA now and all of that. So that's how COVID-19 test kit came about. We still would like to. It's not something we want to make profit out of. It's something we still want to donate to the Ghana Health Service if they are interested, or any other country that is interested in point of care tests. Ghana, we are privileged because we have the gold standard. There are a lot more countries that do not have the gold standard that we have. And so those are the countries that the rapid test kits will be very good for. Yes.
No, thank you so much. I mean, and the rest indeed is history. And as well, one thing I actually wanted to also say is, I mean, for those who don't know, the KNUST is the Kwame Nkrumah University for Science and Technology, and it's in Kumasi. Ghana. I would, when I started, I said I was your co-host because I'm not the only host. So I'm going to just quickly bring root in my other co-host, Sahil. So Sahil, if you can hear me, just say hi.
Hi. Can everyone hear me properly?
Yes.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Dr. Laud. So far, I think I've taken a lot away from this conversation already. Just continuing on with what Sami has been guiding us on. I would like to talk about where sort of the COVID test you're developing is at now. I know you just alluded to it being with the FDA currently. And I want to ask sort of what the process is there. When can we expect sort of it to be released?
Okay. So I've had this question a lot. And when I tell people it's at FDA, people are like, oh, but it's taken at least a few weeks. And I'm like, well, it's because you don't know how test kits are approved in Ghana and in a lot of other countries. When you develop a test kit, you do what we call basically you do your own assessments, but you have a limited number of samples that you do. And then you send it to the FDA. The FDA will either do this themselves or they would outsource it to a bigger lab that will do a large-scale testing. This is because if you release any product onto the market and the product does not work, it is the FDA that would be faulted for releasing that particular product. So they need to be sure that it meets the standard. And so there's a lot of testing, and it can take any time from 6 months to a year before a product comes out. With COVID-19, because of its nature and everything, we are expecting that it will take about 3 months. So you should, that is half the time FDA will usually take. So we should be expecting it somewhere in July, thereabout. However, Ghana also has a peculiar situation of the fact that we already have a gold standard. Okay, the gold standard for testing. So there is actually no urgent hurry. I don't know whether you get what I'm trying to say. To fast track everything. Okay, because the rapid tests are antibody tests, and they're going to augment the current testing. So yes, it will come out. It will come out pretty easy, but it doesn't make anything to put pressure on the FDA, mainly because testing is currently ongoing, and they need to do a thorough job so that when you get a test from our kits, you're able to know that it passed through the right regulatory processes and everything is fine. So yes, it's a normal process. So when I get people asking me why has it taken so long, I'm like, it hasn't taken any long. It's just the normal process that goes through.
That's very interesting you say, because also from my personal experience and all that, like I know that the FDA, as you're alluding to the fact that sometimes they're talking about how many people you should have, all the logistics that should be there, and sometimes it's cumbersome. But obviously they have the best intent in mind. So I guess we're all excited for that process to come.
I always tell people that when the FDA, after dealing with the FDA for a while, as a startup and as a business person, I was really angry at them. But as a consumer, I was extremely proud. Because believe you me, Ghana's FDA is thorough. I can tell you that for a fact. They are extremely, look, I think one of our kids, I don't know whether it's a drug of abuse or the pregnancy, there was a little mistake on the packaging. We did not even realize it. The FDA realized it and drew our attention. So you had to change the whole packaging. You get the point. That is how thorough
I know exactly what you mean.
And they come to your facility, make sure that you said you have this, show us what you have, do this, where are you storing the things, what is the temperature of the place you are storing it. They expect you to also have, when you say it's going to take 2 years, they need, before it expires, they need evidence to show that you have 2 years. And even after they've given you approval, they come over periodically to check that everything is, Ghana's FDA is thorough. And as a consumer, I am proud. As a businessman, no, I am really angry at them, but it's part of it. Yeah.
My father actually manufactures pharmaceuticals here, so he deals with FDA on a day-to-day, and I'm constantly hearing about it. So it's good to hear your perspective as well. You know,
exactly.
Just what you're touching on in terms of the fact that something like the COVID test is developing requires extensive testing. So We are sort of thinking about whether you have any plans to distribute this product once it's approved across the continent or outside Ghana, and what you're thinking on those lines.
Okay. So again, COVID-19 is not something we want to make profits of.
Mm-hmm.
It is, in fact, probably because we do not want to make profit out of it, we've actually made a lot of profit out of it, not in terms of monetary value, but in terms of the publicity and then the network it has given us. The whole idea is to be able to donate, to produce and donate at cost. So if we have an NGO that says that Togo, for instance, want to send 10,000 to Togo, we'll give we'll tell you, well, order the materials for us and we'll produce it for you for free. And you go and give it to Togo. That is the intention we want to do it with. Any country, any person that actually needs it outside Ghana. If you want to use it in Ghana, it needs to be FDA approved, which is still ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how come we cannot even donate it to the ministry, because it's not yet FDA approved. But the intention is that if it's FDA approved, we are donating to the Ministry of Health first, and then any other. So currently, if you know anybody in, say, Liberia that needs 10,000 kits, basically either they themselves would buy us the reagents and then the materials and will produce for them for free, or somebody, a third party, can do that and will produce it for them for free. But if a third party is going to do that, we need to make sure that you're not going to sell or you're not going to make profit out of it. You are going to use it. You are going to donate it to the country to do the work they are supposed to do. So that's why we intend to do COVID-19.
That definitely sounds like a very valid model for expansion, I think, of this type of product. Just you touched on sort of throughout what you're talking about how important your partners have been and people who have been around you, not just from the beginning of your journey, but even on this COVID project itself. Could you walk us through sort of how beneficial that has been and how you've managed as a successful entrepreneur to sort of build those kinds of relationships that then translate into support when you most need it?
Wow, that is we have had tremendous help from individuals, from organizations, and all of that, and mainly because most of them realize the potential of the company. That's the first one. Secondly, most of them realize that we are doing something not only that has potential, but also the fact that all our staff are people that are fresh out of school, and then we build their capacity from scratch, and then we are growing the business with them. So when you look at our team, basically the team is made up of only young people. Okay, I think I have one of the pictures. Maybe I would show that, where they are just everybody. It's young people there, and then the gender balance is it's equal number of males to females in the company. We are trying to grow. So a lot of organizations are very glad to work with us. Aside that as well, I believe that our willingness to learn and our willingness to defer to other organizations. For instance, Hub has been very wonderful in helping us build the business aspects. Ghana Tech Lab has been helping us with the tech part and with some of the things we need, the printing technologies that we need and all of that. I can mention other organizations and individuals that have been helping us with different technologies. The fact that if we do not know something or we do not have something, we are willing to go walk to people and say, we do not know this, can you help us learn that? Has been something that a lot of partners have been very interested in doing. And of course, as with a relationship, every relationship, you have to cultivate it from the beginning. You just don't get up and walk there. You need to start from the very beginning. You need to be true to your words. You need to be, and all of that. And it is in building those relationships that are helping us currently as we move on. Yes, and we know we will build a lot more relationships as we go forward. Yes.
I think those are very valuable comments and tips for everyone trying to enter into the world of entrepreneurship. So thank you for that as well. I don't know if I've lost everybody.
Yes, we can hear you.
No, we can hear you, Sahil.
Okay, I just came back. Excuse me for that. So yeah, I think we have one question from someone who is listening, and I'd just like to add that in before we close it. We want to know sort of how long would the test kits you're developing take to yield the results once the test has been completed?
approximately?
Okay. So I tell people that developing test kits is it can take anywhere from 1 month to 2 years. And I say 1 month to 2 years because theoretically, you know that if you take this and you take this and you take this and you combine them, it will work. Okay, it's a very easy step. However, whether on the field it will work is a completely different thing. And so developing the kit itself does not take a lot of time. Optimizing the kit to your environment is what takes a long time. The Yaws kit took me 2 years to develop. VAG kit, like the test for vaginal infections, took me 2 years to develop. Pregnancy test took 3 weeks to develop. COVID-19 took 3 months to develop. And it's all about one being a lot lucky, because once you have antibodies and antigen and you put them together and you are trying different ones, you can try about 10 of them and none of them will work. You discard them, do something else, try different ones and they will not work. You can keep trying until you have a set number that works. And so for us, it's as I said, it takes from anything from a month to 2 years. It has to work. And so in working, it is basically, it has to do with a lot of luck and basically a lot of science behind the development. Now, once you've developed it and you've optimized it, then you have to do what you call a limited testing. So you take actual samples and then you do the testing. This usually takes about a month or two, depending on the availability of the test. After that, you have to send it to. You have to be sure that your test works before you send it to FDA. Because when you send it to FDA, you pay fees. And so if you pay fees and at the end of the day it doesn't work, you've spent your money. So once you are sure that it works, you send it to FDA. It can also take up to about 6 months to get approved. And once it gets it, so even if you finish developing it, let's say in 2 years, that is development or optimization 2 years. Large scale, small scale testing also 2 years within that same 2 years, and then 6 months for approval. All in all, you're looking around 2.5 years to 3 years before your product comes out. So test kit business is a lot of patience. If you don't have patience, you can't do it.
I mean, thank you so much, Laud. I think in general as well, I mean, the health sector needs a lot of patience and a lot of capital to actually, see through a lot of products. And we'll be ending soon, but before we end, there's two traditions again. I know I love my traditions, but 2 traditions. First one is for you, Laud. We are at a point where we call it the founder's tip. So from your own experience and also from your everything that you've gone through, can you just leave us a tip for founders, for founders in Ghana, in Africa, everywhere? Just 1 sentence, brief tip that we can quote you on.
Okay, so my tip is choose your team wisely. They can make or unmake you. That is my tip.
Thank you so much. Emmanuel, did you have your hand up? Yeah, you can unmute.
Am I allowed to speak?
Yes, definitely.
Oh, okay, yeah. This is my first time here, and it's really been amazing what I've been missing in the other episodes. Thank you so much, Lord. I met you at Stanbic Incubator when Letitia Brown hosted this investment guide for startups, and I remember you pitching. This was the first time I saw learned about your work. It was really amazing that this is happening in Ghana, and it's not all over the place. So maybe we need to spend more time to publicize a lot more the amazing work that is in Ghana. But I'm just curious to know what your needs are, because now you have equipment, you have a team. What do you think is the immediate need for you at this point in time?
Okay, so we have equipment, but we do not have all the equipment that we want, or all the equipment that we need. So a lot of our processes are still manual. A lot of it is manual, and because of that, that is why we currently have the capacity of 50,000 per week. If we had a lot more automation, we should be running around 200,000, 500,000 a week, which is something that is good to go for. All our materials are also imported, and it would be nice to have them there. Like you buy all you need and put them there, so that at any time when somebody makes an order, you do not have to wait 2 weeks for the materials to come before you produce it, and then the person gives you a lot of pressure. So it would be nice to have some funds to be able to buy all these things and put down, waiting for anybody that makes an order. You go immediately and you produce and you give. The final thing that we need, of course, is runway. Currently, we have a very tight runway, and so fortunately for us, we've always been. Anytime our runway is about to end, we have something happens. We either win a competition, we do something, and we have a few thousands of dollars that extends our runway. But we are on a very short leash, and that is something that we would like to have at least 1 year of runway. And that would be an amazing thing. In fact, that day we'll celebrate, because then I know that I can stop worrying. I'm growing gray hair as at now because I worry about what will happen in the next 2 to 3 months when I do not have money to pay salaries and all of that. Yes. So those are some of our needs.
Yeah, I have 3 more questions, but maybe in terms of runway, just maybe if you can clarify to Emmanuel as well, how much does it look like when you say 1 year of runway? What does it mean?
So runway, it talks about assuming that you do not work, you do not get any sales, nothing happens.
Yeah.
How long would it take for you to run out of cash?
Yeah.
In terms of salaries, in terms of utilities and everything that you need to take care of. If you are not getting any sales right now, how long is it going to take for you to be able to run out of cash? Currently, we have runway of about 2 months. Yesterday we won a competition that is going to give us some money. So yes, we can extend our runway just a little, but it's still not that much. But again, our runway has always ranged from 2 months to 3 months. The longest runway we had was around 5 months. But even that, we used some of it to purchase equipment. So that also brought short our runway. So yes, but we always survive. So I am not too worried.
And how much is that? Is that in cash? How much is that?
The runway.
Yeah.
So our expenses per month is around almost $40,000. No, 40,000 cedis. Not dollars. 40,000 cedis.
Nice.
I give or take all of it. So yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So I have a few questions. I just want to shoot you, and then you just go straight at it. First one is basically. What is the time it takes to get a result after using the COVID test? I mean, once you have it.
Oh yeah, the COVID-19 test is it takes 10 to 15 minutes to get a result.
10 to 15 minutes.
Yes.
Nice. All right.
So you prick your finger, put it on the kit, add the diluents, and then 10 to 15 minutes. You know, it's just like a pregnancy test. 10 to 15 minutes. You know whether you are negative, which is 1 line, or you know you are positive, which is 2 lines. That is it.
Nice. All right. And there's also another question. How do you intend managing or taking care of the costs incurred from the continuous production of COVID kits since you're going to be using as a non-profit venture? Maybe just repeat that, because I think you mentioned that. So just
yes, I said that anybody that wants it will need to fund the production. So we are not going to run at a loss. So everybody, you would have to fund the production, the cost of the materials and the imports, everything. We will fund it, and then we'll produce it for you for free. Yes. Nice. So it will make cost. We are not going to run at a loss.
No worries. All right. And then also, I mean, one person also wanted to know if they can be used to replace temperature guns at airports.
Oh yes, of course. Temperature guns. If you have a headache or you feel feverish, and you take paracetamol, for instance, it reduces your temperature drastically, even though you do not. So it is not a very sensitive way of screening people.
Yeah.
The rapid test would be more sensitive than temperature guns. Yes.
Nice. All right. Before we say bye-bye to everyone, I think these are all the questions for now. Thank you so much, Dr. Laud. But please don't leave. I told you I am a lover of traditions. So I want to request that everyone who can should please just show us your video. We're going to take a virtual group picture. So this is a virtual group picture. So everyone, you show us your video nicely. Give us a really nice smile. I'm going to use my phone to take a virtual group picture. Yes. There we go. There we go. Yes, yes, yes. Everyone. I'm going to ask a few people because sometimes ask show video. Ask show video. Yes, so I think I have everyone now. Okay, all right. So please give me a nice smile, guys, and then let's take a really nice virtual picture. Nice smile, Nikki. I like your shades. All right. So yes, 1, 2, and 3. Thank you guys so much for joining. This has been an amazing time as well. Again, please expect another episode next 2 weeks. It's going to be the 11th of June. Dr. Laud, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for coming, and I hope you all enjoyed it as well. Bye. Ciao.
Thank you.
Nagbe wa yino, fi asiri yino, padi kete